everyone. So it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, and I have to admit, in my 18 years of playing FPL, this has got to be the most disengaged I've ever felt with a season. I'm determined that this video is not going to descend into a long rant about COVID, but the fixture postponements are really ruining this season for me. And the trouble is, no one wins really. If you get shafted by the postponements, then obviously you feel awful. But likewise, if you get lucky and you gain rank because others have been unfairly punished, then that leaves a bad taste in your mouth too. Like when all those managers got affected by the server crash in game week 19. Fortunately for me, I wasn't affected by that. But I don't take any joy in making gains from situations like that. But I think the thing that bothers me the most is that it's spoiling the planning process. Not only does it adversely affect those of us who plan ahead, but it means that midweek planning, which is one of my favourite parts of FPL, is practically worthless because the landscape is changing so rapidly. Why put the time and effort into shaping your team for the future when postponements could come out of nowhere and put you right back to square one? Anyway, I said this wasn't going to turn into a rant. There's not much point whinging about it. We've just got to take it for what it is and move forwards. So for the remainder of this video, I want to talk about what I've learned from dealing with COVID this season. The random nature of the postponements means that no one's safe really, irrespective of playing style. It all comes down to chance. Whether you plan for the future or make short-term moves, anyone can be affected by it. So in that sense, it's quite indiscriminate. But there are 6 things I think us managers can do to mitigate the damage. So number 1, don't make early transfers. So I think this one speaks for itself. I'm not a fan of early transfers anyway, but when COVID strikes, things can change so rapidly that you'd be a fool to make early transfers. Even if it means being priced out of the move you want, just wait, even if it means you have to find another transfer option. Number 2, don't leave it too late to make your transfers either. So as we mentioned already, those who waited right up until the game week 19 deadline got caught out by the server crash. I saw one guy who played his free hit, but it didn't go through. So despite getting a stunning 102 points for the game week, that came at a cost of 26 additional transfers, which was 104 points deducted. So despite having a brilliant week, he ended the game week with a grand total of -2 points. So yeah, ouch. Number 3, avoid having too many double ups or triple ups. I think obviously this one's fairly obvious. If you've tripled up on 2 teams that play one another, then you could lose 6 players just from one fixture postponement. So spreading the risk across your team can minimise the damage. Number 4, put your captain and vice captaincy on players from different teams. So again, fairly obvious. Make sure your captain and vice captain are on players who are in different fixtures. That way, if a fixture gets postponed, then you still get a second bite of the cherry. Number 5, have a strong bench. So in the 5 game weeks between game week 17 and game week 21, I used all 3 of my bench slots every time, and in most cases it still wasn't enough to plug the gaps. So it goes without saying that a strong bench is crucial during these times. And finally, number 6, be wary of rotation or injury-prone players. So quite often I feel it's worth taking a risk on having a couple of players like this. So Phil Foden, for example, who has a really high ceiling but is prone to the odd bit of rotation, especially if your bench can cover it. But in COVID times, these players will only add to your misery. When all 3 players on your bench have been called into action because of postponements, the last thing you need is another player in your starting 11 has been rotated or have picked up an injury. So those are the 6 points for navigating COVID. As for game week 22, I really don't have any idea. I'll make a decision on the deadline once I have all the information. At the moment, I'm currently on using my free hit, or one of my free hits, but this could change. So that's it for this week. All the best, everyone.